You know, when we go to the store, we buy things in jars sometimes. We don't really think too much about maybe the size of the jar unless we're looking for a specific quantity. We're obviously interested in what's inside the jar. The one thing we don't really think about very much is the lid on the jar. And the lid does two things on a jar. It keeps what's inside the jar in there, and it keeps everything on the outside from getting in. That's its function. And I can tell you these barriers that reside in the management system act like a virtual lid that keep old ideas in, old perspectives in, old way of doing things in. And do it in a way that almost operates from behind the scenes. I want you to think about earnings for a moment as they might flow out of an ore body. And let's say that down here at the end is what's actually hitting the ledger. And we say, okay, we're getting this much. We think we want to try something different. We're going to do Six Sigma or Lean or some other improvement initiative. And so we do that. And pretty soon, we are able to increase the flow of earnings from that ore body. And so we try that for a while and seems to be working pretty good. Maybe it's not perfect, but we're doing better than we used to. And then we decide, you know, maybe we need to buy new equipment and really shoot for the moon on this when it comes to having the very best equipment that we can have with the intention of achieving optimization. So we do that, and pretty soon we are able to achieve an increased flow of earnings to the bottom line. We're getting better. Now, I will tell you that once we hit this level right here is usually where we can't go any further. And everything that I studied and analyzed told me right here is where we were hitting a wall. The question is, what is this? And what can we learn about our business if we understand what this is? Because what we can't see is this. If this is our full potential to deliver earnings to the bottom line, we can't even see it because we've got a hidden barrier here that needs to be removed. So what I'm going to do today is to share with you some information about what I've learned about this, what this is. And if we know what this is, we're empowered to take it off. There are several exercises that I do when I meet with companies and do this kind of training. I'm going to do a little bit of one with you today. There's water in this pitcher. If you can see, the water's clear. In this case, the water represents trust, free communication, ability to fix problems, clear water, which is great. That's what we want. I'd like to ask you to, just for a moment, I'm going to ask for some audience participation. Can any of you think of a time when management perhaps made a promise they didn't keep? This is food coloring. Every time we have a promise that's not kept, we're going to put a drop or two in here. Okay, could I have another example? How many drops do you think that deserves in this pitcher? I'll let you decide. The bottle's full, so you tell me how many. 5? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, squirted. There, 5. Okay, let's have one more. Anybody have one more to share? Yes. Should we dump the whole bottle in? Probably should, actually. Now notice, what color is that water? Can anybody see? It's green. What color should it be? It should be clear. How many gallons of clear water would we have to add to this pitcher to make it clear again? Any guess? I haven't done a calculation, but it's way more than what would fit in here. which means that when we've got promises that aren't kept, expectations that are set and not met, or words and actions that don't match, we've got colored water in our culture. We've got mistrust. And whenever the water's colored, we don't have free communication. We have harder times fixing problems because people aren't free to work together to do it. So, your takeaway from this is keep your water clear, and amazing things will happen. You're probably wondering why I brought this model of the Saturn V rocket to this meeting. In the early 60s, John F. Kennedy challenged our nation to go to the moon by the end of the decade. When he said that, the NASA engineers knew they had something special they were really going to have to do. And here's why. For decades before that, there were only 2 stages to all rockets. The first stage blasted off, and the second stage took the astronauts into orbit, and they'd orbit around for a while, and they'd come back down. Going to the moon meant that we were going to have to escape Earth's gravity. We had no rocket to do that until this one was designed. The Saturn V was the first 3-stage rocket, and the third stage is the one that took the astronauts to the moon and back. The reason I wanted to talk about the rocket today is that it's important to have a mindset that escape is possible. The astronauts, the engineers in NASA, had to believe it was possible before they could develop a machine that would make it possible. Did you hear what Bill Anders said at the end of that? There is no way that Earth's gravity could hold us back any longer. And I'm suggesting to you, with some of the information that I've shared today about change, that there's no way that your barriers to change in your organizations can hold you back any longer. Remember, sometimes all it takes is a new perspective. You're probably much closer to achieving your goals for change than you think you are. Thank you. Thanks for your attention. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.